December in English Harbour West. The days are short at this time of year, the air crisp. There's no snow yet, but the dories have been hauled up, and the draggermen will soon be in for Christmas. Before long, the windows will glow with coloured lights, and there'll be a tree glistening in every house. The harbour will ring with laughter and merriment as the mummers make their rounds, shuffling from house to house, singing, dancing, continuing the ancient Christmas tradition that survives only here in Newfoundland. Up in the school, there'll probably be a concert. Yes, the full 12 days of Christmas are celebrated here in Fortune Bay. But Christmas is more than a celebration here in Fortune Bay. It's a time when families are reunited. You see, a lot of South Coast men must leave these shores to find employment. Most of them work on ships, on coastal boats and freighters here in Newfoundland, on draggers and longliners in Nova Scotia, and on grain carriers in the Great Lakes. In recent years, some Fortune Bay men abandoned their seafaring tradition to try their luck in the oil fields of Alberta. Some made the mistake of coming back home wearing cowboy boots and cowboy hats. The sight was enough to inspire two local musicians to make up a song. Saltwater Cowboy was an instant hit for Bud Davidge and Sim Savory, Sim and I. Western music, country music, jigs and reels, they perform it all. But most popular are the songs about life in Outport, Newfoundland. Bud and Sim found that out when they recorded Saltwater Cowboy.
Well, that's the song that started it all, is it, Bud?
Yes, I guess you could say that. That was the song for the title of our first album in 1981. And sort of a kind of a humorous kind of thing, comment on the situation as was happening at that time with the oil coming into Newfoundland and some of our friends coming back from Calgary, having been out there in the oil business and so forth. So we tried it on stage a couple of times. It worked pretty well as a comedy kind of thing, and we were new into the recording business when we did the first album, of course, and we thought we would give that a try, and not having tested the waters prior to that, we didn't know for sure how it would work, but we were sort of amazed at you know, is they're part of the show that we do in our records. Very distinguishable features in our tracks.
And when we're getting ready to do an album, we always try to get material, you know, that hasn't been recorded before. It's not new material, but it's we haven't heard it on record before, and usually it comes from people we know, and usually their name is attached to the particular number that we're doing, you know.
Like with Jigs and Reels?
With Jigs and Reels, we did Vince's tune, which was a person who used to play for Square Dances here one time, I can remember him. And I got that jig from them. And Pius's favorite, a good friend of mine, a jig that he came up with, and was popular with him.
This must make people pretty proud.
I think they do appreciate it in a way, you know. Our new album has another jig from a gentleman that lives there now, Sydney's jig.
So there's more to just doing it than
There's
making
more to
money.
doing that. I'd like to mention who I got it from, and like I said, I think they appreciate it in some way, you know.
And Sid, you were born here in Belorem, were you?
Here in Belorem, yes.
And Bud, I believe you were born
Badenor,
which
which is just about 10 miles down the bay, I suppose.
It's abandoned now, nobody there.
Nobody there anymore. No. I went with the resettlement back in the 50s and 60s.
And that was the subject of another song, Richard.
And that's the subject of another song, something very close to my heart anyway, that experience. So we have another song that'll be out some of these days, and along these lines, looking back at it, say probably from a 20-year perspective, I guess, but the hurt's still there.
There are Fort people without Fort Wayne, but there's nowhere to use them, and now it's too late. And they curse on the one who uttered the phrase, resettlement now while resettlement pays. Now he sits on the dock and he looks across the bay, and he watches his memories as they pass on the waves, and he wonders what cards fate might have dealt if he told those officials to go straight to hell. But she can't take a man from the soil where he grew. Does she know how to solace his mind when you do? And for God's sake, don't say how much greener's the grass of those uprooted people saw it wither too fast. You can launch a house easy and tow it away, but the home doesn't move, it continues to stay. And the dollars you make, sure they'll keep you alive, but they won't soothe the heart and they can't ease the mind. He's fixed on a plank and the memories roll. The spring sun is shining, there's a loft in the cove, and the shoreline is dotted with lobster pot boys. But his boat's full of weeds and there's tears in his eyes. Don't take a man from the life that he knows and tear up his roots and expect him to grow. But if he's unwilling, be forced to decide. He'll move without leaving and never abide. Don't take a man from the life that he knows and tear up his roots and expect him to grow. And for God's sake, don't say how much greener's the grass of those uprooted people saw it weather too fast. Those uprooted people saw it weather too fast.
Young men here in Fortune Bay still go to sea on the big stern trawlers these days. Their fathers sailed on banking schooners, but you don't see those tall, proud vessels anymore. Their time is over. But the stories, the legends live on. One especially chilling tale is of the mysterious disappearance of the schooner Marion 70 years ago. they say she was scuttled at sea. Most of her crew hailed from Boxey. The tiny community never really recovered from the loss of so many of its young men. Uncle Steve Blagden remembers the Marion. So does Aunt Kiz Blagden and her husband, Uncle Cecil. Uncle Cecil. He spent a lifetime at sea, most of it as a fisherman on the Grand Banks. He's been shipwrecked. He knows what it is to watch your dory mates die. But the loss of the Marion was a hard blow for him and Aunt Kiz, for they had so many of their relatives and friends on board. Uncle Steve was 16 years old and fishing on another schooner when the Marion was lost. His account of what happened captured the imagination of Bud Davidge.
So she left here in early June, I suppose, on Caitlin.
I suppose around trip, was it? 15th of June, I suppose. Yeah. She leave there from Jackson, she come out to Necklace Lady.
I see.
And she laid up there what they call Spyglass, you know, it's up there around Necklace, it's cross lane to each side, it says.
Uh-huh. So you guys were there, in your schooner at the time when this practice took place?
Yes, we were on the docks.
Uh-huh.
Not long, he was on the other dock.
Yeah. That was a regular sort of thing, wasn't it?
Oh,
Both things here.
Oh, you had to go to dock. That's the only place you get on dock, isn't it? Because you're close to looking you and then.
Yeah. But some of the fellows who were on the boat got off. Wasn't there somebody who got off the schooner and wouldn't go back because they knew something was going to happen?
Reed cut over, eh?
Oh, yeah.
That was his brother,
Mm-hmm.
He left us, he married them all when in his place down here. That's all we went for married.
Yeah, Mrs. Alder Lake was rich.
Yes, that's right. Well, I guess he know because, see, the captain said that that night he told Jones, he said, never mind, he said, there's more room on the sea than there's on the land.
So he was going to get it back on.
Well, he knew he was going to get it back on.
Uh-huh.
Get out.
Yeah.
Well, it's 10 o'clock that day, I suppose she leave. Well, he left that day at around 10 o'clock. I suppose around 3 o'clock she left. Somewhere around 3 or half past 3.
Mm-hmm.
The next morning, around 8 o'clock, she was back alongside the king again.
But no sign of the Marion.
No.
And from that time on, there was nobody knew exactly what happened.
know that. We would, everybody has doubt, you know.
Yeah.
Everybody was there and there, what was going on. They didn't even know what was going to happen. I figured that when she went out, that's when she went out. You know.
Yeah.
There's no other way for her to go out, because if her to come back and pay her again. He told on himself, you know, when he would come back again.
So what about the people back here now in Boxey? Did they have suspicion that something?
No.
No, they ain't no supposed to say no.
So, but what time would they start to worry about? Because
Well,
they're not coming back.
when the old schooners all coming off of their trip,
Yeah.
well, nobody didn't court for the morning, she never come, and
Mhm.
the situation did us, well, they never seen her. And I mean, they never give a hope to us.
And there was no storms or anything that could cause
No.
No.
But they never give up their hopes that, I mean, what, she wasn't going to come back till August.
So what would they have done? They ram the schooner, I suppose, or?
Yes, he ran. Oh, definitely.
Uh-huh.
He ran her, he cut her ready too, so that's what he done.
Yes.
That's the only way he could do it.
No one can know for sure what really happened to the Marion and her crew on that fateful day in 1915. But Uncle Steve, Uncle Cecil, and Aunt Kiz, and others of their generation remain convinced that the Marion was purposely run down 70 years ago.
He told all that before he did it.
The stories that smolder in the memories of our older people, of life and death long ago on this coast, of heroism and mystery and tragedy, stories that will eventually be lost. Stories that will eventually be lost, unless the younger crowd can somehow keep them alive. With the end of isolation and the advent of television, the old art of storytelling is dying. That's what they say, and perhaps it's true. But if the stories aren't passed on, how will the next generation know what life was like on the sailing vessels, and how our people lived on this coast in the olden days? Well, there's more than one way to spin a yarn, more than one way to make a legend live forever.
In 1915, on the 10th day of June, at Birchmore, the Marion lay, prepared for the bank that was custom to do, all loaded with Caitlin for bait. So when from Christmas if the mummers are not here. Granny would say as she knit in her chair. Things have gone modern, and I suppose that's the cause. Christmas is not like it was. Mark, what's the noise out by the porch door? Granny, 'tis mummers, there's 20 or more. Her old withered face brightens up with a grin. Any mummer's night
A production of Luca Toon Productions. Land and Sea is provided by this stations and other public television stations.
Additional funding was provided by the Johnson & Johnson family of companies, supplying healthcare products worldwide. And by Allied Signal, a technology leader in aerospace, electronics, automotive products, and engineered materials.